In a crowded classroom on a Monday morning, tension hung heavy in the air. Marcus, a quiet black student who rarely spoke unless called upon, raised his hand to answer a question. Before he could finish, his teacher, Mrs. Harper, cut him off sharply. Rolling her eyes, she said loudly, "Marcus, maybe you should focus on subjects you actually understand, instead of wasting everyone's time." The class fell into an uncomfortable silence, and a few students even laughed nervously. Marcus lowered his head, his face burning with embarrassment. What Mrs. Harper didn't know was that Marcus had spent the entire weekend studying, determined to prove himself. Later that week, during a school-wide academic competition, Marcus stood before the entire faculty and student body. With confidence and brilliance, he answered every question flawlessly, winning first place for the school. The auditorium erupted in cheers, but Mrs. Harper sat frozen, shame flooding her face as she remembered the words she had used to belittle him. When the principal praised Marcus for his hard work and resilience, Mrs. Harper finally understood the weight of her actions. After the ceremony, she approached him with tears in her eyes and whispered, "I was wrong about you. I'm sorry." Marcus simply smiled, not out of pride, but because he knew he had risen above the humiliation and proved his worth. Not just to her, but to everyone watching. Mrs. Harper's apology didn't erase the sting of that humiliating moment, but for Marcus, it marked something greater, an acknowledgement that even authority figures could be wrong. Yet, deep down, he wasn't seeking validation from her. What mattered was the pride in his mother's eyes when she heard about his victory, the cheers from classmates who had underestimated him, and the realization that his hard work had spoken louder than her prejudice. Still, Mrs. Harper couldn't shake the guilt. That evening, she sat alone in her classroom, replaying the look on Marcus's face when she had dismissed him. For the first time in her career, she questioned her own biases. How many other students had she silenced? How many dreams had she unknowingly crushed with careless words? The weight of it pressed heavily on her heart. The next day, Mrs. Harper stood before her class with a different tone. "I owe all of you an apology," she began, her voice trembling. "Especially Marcus. I was wrong to speak to him the way I did, and I was wrong to underestimate his potential. From today, this classroom will be a place where every voice matters." The students looked at each other, stunned by her honesty. Marcus, though still cautious, lifted his head high. That moment shifted the entire classroom's atmosphere. Students who were once afraid to speak began sharing their ideas with confidence, and Marcus, no longer quiet, grew into a leader among his peers. In time, Mrs. Harper's mistake became the lesson she never expected to teach: that humility and change are more powerful than pride. Marcus's transformation didn't happen overnight, but the ripple effect of that one humiliating moment became undeniable. The very next week, the school counselor invited him to speak at an assembly about perseverance. At first, Marcus hesitated. The memory of laughter in the classroom still haunted him, but he remembered how good it felt to stand tall during the competition, proving that he was more than the stereotypes people tried to place on him. When the day came, the gymnasium was packed with students and teachers. Marcus stepped onto the stage, clutching his note cards, his palms sweaty. He glanced at Mrs. Harper sitting in the front row, her eyes downcast, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Taking a deep breath, Marcus spoke. "Sometimes people will doubt you. Sometimes they'll even laugh at you. But what matters is that you don't give up on yourself. Because no one can take away what you've worked hard to learn." His words echoed through the room, and the silence that followed was heavier than any applause. Then, slowly, the audience erupted into cheers, not because Marcus was flawless, but because he was fearless. Mrs. Harper felt her throat tighten. For the first time, she wasn't just proud of a student's success. She was humbled by it. After the assembly, she waited nervously by the doors as students congratulated Marcus. When he finally walked past, she stopped him. "Marcus," she said softly, "you taught me something I couldn't have learned from any textbook. Thank you for not giving up, even when I failed you. Marcus looked at her, not with anger, but with quiet strength. We all make mistakes, he replied. What matters is what we do after them. From that day forward, Mrs. Harper became one of his strongest advocates. She encouraged his ambitions, nominated him for leadership programs, and made sure her classroom became a safe place for every student's voice. For Marcus, the humiliation he once endured had turned into a stepping stone, not only to his own growth, but to changing the heart of someone who desperately needed it.